Now on CoastTV News.
River takes toll.
I need to survive. There's nothing really else.
As the search for missing people continues in Texas, we are hearing more on what some had to do in order to survive.
Tabling hotel tax, the narrow decision to halt a fee on lodging, and why it's not the final say on the issue.
Mayor addresses mayhem. Ocean City assesses some of the chaotic scenes that took place over the holiday weekend.
The summer sizzle is back today. Temperatures soaring into the mid-90s and triple-digit heat indices. Then a chance of strong to possibly severe storms this evening. I'll have impacts of both coming up next.
This is CoastTV News Today.
And it is Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
And good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us for our 5 o'clock hour.
Yeah, we're all back together again as we start with more of the same when it comes to the weather.
Same weather. I mean, we had a gorgeous weekend,
yes.
So we have to be thankful for that.
Absolutely.
But it's another day of walking outside and being hit by the wall of humidity that was the air. And Bob, you're going to tell us right now what we're expecting later today. I got stuck in that rainstorm yesterday walking outside. That was a fun time.
Yeah, we had the remnants of Chantel yesterday, and we did see some of that rain, definitely heavy at times. And now it is a steam bath out there. The windows just seeing all the water on them right now. And temperatures into the upper 70s, very warm, even 80 in Lewis down at Bethany Beach, 78 in Millsboro, Gumboro at 79, and these dew points, oh boy, they're terrible. Mid to upper 70s, just lots of tropical moisture around, and feels like temperatures already in places in the low to mid 80s. And we do have a heat advisory today. Sussex County back through Salisbury, excluding the coast, and heat advisory as well for the eastern shore. We're going to be seeing heat indices in excess of 100 degrees today. Winds are coming in out of the southwest pretty light. We're not going to see much wind to cool us off today. And we're looking at quiet conditions on the satellite picture. A pretty good blow up of storms offshore, but we're quiet right now. But there is a front to our north and west that'll sag to the south and east and trigger some showers and storms this evening. But we're going to see a quick warm up through the morning hours through the 80s, and then by noon into the low 90s, and then it's mid 90s as we go into the later afternoon with 80s and 90s at the beaches. Then this evening, I am watching for the potential of strong to maybe severe storms building in probably after about 7 p.m. as we're looking at actual temperatures warming into the mid 90s this afternoon, and feels like temperatures may be as hot as 105. More on the summer sizzle and that storm chance coming up a little bit later in the newscast.
All right, thank you, Bob. And our top story this hour is the aftermath of the deadly floods in Texas. Search teams looking for dozens of people still missing, and the teams waded through mud-laden riverbanks and flew over the flood-stricken landscape. Kirk County Police said the bulk of the dead were in the riverfront hill country town of Kerrville. That's where 68 were killed, including 28 children. One man who survived hung on to a meter box until help arrived.
I need to survive. There's nothing really else I'm thinking about. After I got off the phone with 911 for the last time, it was like I kind of realized I have to save myself.
It's just an incredible story there. People gathered for a candlelight vigil Monday night in downtown San Antonio to honor and remember the victims.
A scare in downtown Salisbury Monday afternoon ended safely after local fire crews and the Maryland State Fire Marshal's bomb squad investigated a suspicious item. Officials say around 12:13 p.m., firefighters tackling a brush fire near East Market Street spotted what they say looked like a PVC pipe bomb. After examination, crews determined the item was non-hazardous and posed no threat. Explosive detection canines also searched the area, and the scene was cleared by 2:40 p.m. Officials say no one was hurt.
New overnight, and we're getting responses from Ocean City officials after what they say were several events resulting in chaos over the weekend. According to a statement, social media pop-up gatherings brought a large crowd of young adults and teenagers, leading to disruptive behavior. Throughout the weekend, Ocean City operated at full staffing with help from local agencies like the Worcester County Sheriff's Office and Maryland State Police. And say despite the challenges, crews helped keep one of the busiest weekends safe and clean.
We are now taking a live look at the White House. There, President Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister to discuss bringing an end to the 21 months of fighting in Gaza. And as the two leaders discuss a possible agreement to end the conflict, administration officials are working to avoid a trade war with tariffs.
Yeah, the White House now pushing back a deadline, but threatening higher tariffs if no deal is done. NBC's Alice Barr shows us how the president plans to tackle these issues, domestic and abroad.
It's really nice to have you at the White House.
President Trump meeting late Monday with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, looking to leverage the ceasefire between Israel and Iran into a permanent peace.
I hope it's over. Yeah, I think Iran wants to meet. I think they want to make peace.
And a window to end the 21 months of devastating fighting in Gaza. The president projecting optimism.
I don't think there's a holdup. I think things are going along very well.
Despite Hamas wanting a full end to the war in exchange for the remaining hostages, while Israel still seeks to eliminate Hamas. As negotiations continue, the White House also pressing world leaders for deals on trade, sending letters Monday to 14 countries setting new higher tariff rates, including 25% duties on major trading partners, South Korea and Japan, up to 40% for Laos and Myanmar. The president describing the letters as a more or less final offer.
Look, we're always subject to negotiate something that's fair.
Higher rates for trading partners across the world paused for 90 days were set to resume tomorrow, but the new rates are now set to take effect August 1st, though the president acknowledged that could change again.
I would say firm, but not 100% firm.
Stocks dipped Monday after the tariff news, the Treasury Secretary looking to reassure.
My mailbox was full last night with a lot of new offers, a lot of new proposals.
Promising more deals are coming. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
In Millsboro last night, by the narrowest of margins, the town council voted 4-3 against an ordinance that would have added a hotel tax. Here is Millsboro Mayor Rick McKee explaining why it was under consideration.
We're not desperate for money at this point with the town, and it's an additional tax that people have to pay. So we do have some visitors coming into Millsboro staying in the hotels, but we also have family members of people that live here. So we're, in fact, taxing our own family.
Yeah, that was Rob McKee, and he says the town will consider adding a hotel tax again in the future.
Happening today, Ocean View Town Council will consider two important ordinances at a public hearing. First, council will hold a second reading on a measure that would set guidelines and a permitting process for what they call First Amendment assemblies in town parks and on town-owned property. Next, town leaders will hold a first reading of a proposed ordinance that would amend town code, possibly updating the town's water system rules, including fees and charges, and address private wells within town limits. This is all taking place at the town council meeting today at 3 o'clock.
Happening tonight, Seaford Town Council close to moving forward on a new policy dealing with delinquent electric bills. At the city council meeting, officials are expected to present an ordinance they say would change electric notification and service termination rules. This is a second reading of the ordinance, and that council meeting is at 7 p.m.
And we're just getting started in this hour of Coast TV News today.
Coming up, rising concern for rip currents, why the Chincoteague Volunteer Fire Company is sounding the alarm for Assateague Island.
And improving coastal connection, we'll tell you how Ocean City plans to do that just in time for a series of music festivals happening soon.
An Amazon Prime Day adjustment, how the company is changing the annual sale to an event they say is bigger and better. All that and more as Coast TV News Today continues.
It is exactly 5:11 as we're gearing up for another summer sizzle today. 78 in Dover as we're looking at fair skies right now. Upper 70s to 80 in Lewis, 80 in Bethany Beach, 79 in Gumboro, Georgetown 78. Dew point temperatures, the measure of moisture in the atmosphere. It is just steamy out there. You don't need a steam bath at the spa. You can just go outside, as it already does feel like low to mid 80s. We're looking at mostly clear skies. No worries of any kind of rain this morning. We've got storms offshore. I am watching a front to the north and west, and that could bring some storms, maybe severe weather this evening. Today's checklist: have water, have a lot of it, and find a cool place as much as possible, and check on your neighbors. Make sure they're doing okay in the heat. Watch for storms this evening. Secure those outdoor items. Could be some strong winds, and have the sunscreen and sunglasses handy as well.
New overnight, Delaware State Fire Marshal working to determine the cause of a garage fire. This was in Frankfort. Fire occurred sometime after 7 p.m. and we have some images of the Millville Volunteer Fire Company on the scene at that time. This was on Omar Road. According to the fire company, units from Bethany Beach, Frankfort, Roxana, and Dagsboro were also working the response to the fire, where no injuries were reported.
New in Salisbury, officials say a road closure is coming to Columbia Drive starting Monday, July 14th. That area is between Northwood Drive and Milton Drive. Crews will be installing new sewer mains. Work is expected to take place from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and end on Friday, July 18th, weather permitting.
Indian River High School rising seniors have a chance to jumpstart their college plans this summer. The school says it will host a college application and financial aid boot camp. It's designed to help students and families get ahead on the college process. Topics will include how to start, timelines, key terms, choosing that best college fit, the FAFSA updates, and more. This takes place on August 12th at 6 p.m. in the school auditorium.
Amazon's popular Prime Day is here. This year, Prime Day is taking place from July 8th through July 11th. Amazon now is entering its second decade of hosting the annual summer sale event. And with the milestone, it's unveiling a change. Amazon will run Prime Day for 4 full days. That's twice the typical 48 hours.
I got some big news, Elisa. McDonald's is rolling out a new menu item that might prove variety is the spice of life. Starting today, the fast food restaurant will unveil a new breakfast choice. The spicy McMuffin breakfast sandwich features all of the items in a traditional Egg McMuffin, but this one will have its signature spicy pepper sauce. McDonald's says the spicy items will only be on the menu for a limited time. And Elisa, this seems important since you know how I feel about Egg McMuffins.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that one, Matt. Well, still ahead, improving coastal connection. We'll tell you what Ocean City says it will do if additional cell towers don't arrive in time for upcoming music festivals.
And thanks a lot, Matt. Now I'm hungry for the new breakfast sandwich at McDonald's. 79 in Salisbury this morning. It's going to be a sizzler out there today. Take it easy in the heat. Heat indices at least in the lower 100s. And then we're talking about chances for storms as we go into the evening hours. I'll have impacts of both coming up next in my full forecast.
Time is 5:16, and we are getting a live look at an already steamy situation there in Dover. I think with some of that, I don't know if you want to call that haze on the horizon there, Bob, but it's just got that look that it's going to be a hot one, and we're just getting those remnants of a sunrise right now.
Yeah, definitely moisture out there. I saw a little bit of fog out there this morning, Matt, and it is a steam bath out there this morning, basically, as we have a heat advisory, Sussex County, away from the coast today, where we could be looking at those triple-digit heat indices, also across Maryland, back through Wycomico and Worcester counties, and then the Eastern Shore, also under a heat advisory through this evening, as by this afternoon could be feeling like 102 to about 105 inland areas, and even at the coast looking at mid to upper 90s. And tomorrow feeling like, well, triple digits probably once again away from the coast, as we're looking at mostly clear skies this morning. But once again, it's that steam bath out there as we're seeing one system moving offshore. We're getting a little break now, but then there's this front back to our north and west, and this will be sagging to the south and east as we go through today, and that will be the focus for showers and storms as we go into this evening. Some of those could be severe. Then we'll see this front just kind of stall over us as we go through the rest of the week, and that means an ongoing chance of more showers and thunderstorms. Here's Futurecast this morning, 6 a.m. We're well in the upper 70s and lower 80s, already pretty warm out there. And then by mid-morning, mid-80s, by the noon hour, lower 90s, Salisbury through Millsboro and Lewis, and even at the beaches pretty warm, 87 at Bethany Beach. By mid-afternoon, 80s at the coast, so the beach will be buzzing today, I'm sure. 94 in Lewis, 93 in Millsboro, 94 in Salisbury. Then this evening, we're watching that front getting closer, and that could trigger showers and storms, I think, after about 7 p.m., and some of those will be packing a punch. Maybe very heavy rain. We're still in this tropical-like air mass, so watch for that. And maybe damaging winds, 10:30 from Salisbury up to Millsboro. And then that'll quiet down through the overnight with another steamy day on the way for Wednesday as temperatures surge into the upper 80s. Maybe not as hot as today, as we're looking at more scattered afternoon showers and thunderstorms, and that will be a recurring theme as we go through the next several days. We do have a slight risk of severe weather as we go into this evening from about 7 p.m. till about 11. Salisbury, Seaford, Dover, back through Georgetown and Millsboro. Watch for damaging winds and maybe some flooding. You know, we had that rain from Chantal yesterday. The ground's already soaked, so it won't take much more to cause flooding. And then Ocean View to Berlin, you have a lower chance of seeing that severe weather. And the unsettled pattern continues Wednesday through Friday. Stalled out front nearby. That means on and off showers and storms and maybe some localized flash flooding as well. Really have to be careful as we go through the next several days, as we are looking at perhaps lots of rain for some of us as we go through the next few days. You can see some of these rainfall amounts, maybe 2 to as much as 4 inches of rain. So you've heard the saying, turn around, don't drown. And we're going to have a very juicy atmosphere as we go through time. And that's why I'm a little concerned about flooding. We're looking at very humid to miserable conditions basically the next several days as we're stuck in this persistent pattern. Paul Davis 7-day forecast, 95 today with the evening storms, and then we're looking at basically on and off storms as we go through the next several days through the rest of the week with mid to upper 80s, and then into the weekend more of the same, hot and humid, or warm and humid I should say, with mid to upper 80s and mainly afternoon and evening storms, and that continues into Monday as well. Great time to win an umbrella, and that's what Steve Stakarowski did from Milton, Delaware. Congratulations to Steve on winning his new umbrella from Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling and Coast TV.
New overnight, a 67-year-old inmate from Sussex Correctional Institution has died after being treated for chronic health conditions. That is according to the Delaware Department of Correction. The agency says Frederick Harris of Milford died July 7th at BB Hospital, where he'd recently been moved for inpatient care. According to officials, Harris had been serving an 18-month sentence for his 5th DUI.
Ocean City officials are continuing to seek ways to improve cell service, especially during music events that take place at the pier and southern end of the boardwalk. The option getting a good look at is adding small cell towers to busy areas. Town officials say they are working with phone companies like AT&T and Verizon on this project. Tourists on the boardwalk that we spoke with say the added towers would help make the vacation experience better.
I think it would just help a lot, especially with how many people come down here. I think a lot of people have problems, and so many people travel from very far away, and they want to contact their family to show them how nice it is down here. So to do that, they need cell service.
We're learning that the town could bring in temporary technology for those music festivals if the new small towers are not up in time.
Up next on Coast TV News today, rising concern for rip currents. We'll tell you how officials say you can stay safe if you're caught in one. Don't go anywhere. The rough weather is stirring up concerns about rip currents, especially at Assateague Island, which still has no lifeguards. The Chincoteague Volunteer Fire Company posted online that it had distress calls for rip currents over the weekend, and it says there were some community rescues along the shores. The fire company says people need to be extra cautious because of the lack of lifeguards in the area, a situation that has some beachgoers worried with strong seas.
I think we should have lifeguards here. It's a big park and big beach, and a lot of people.
And officials say swimmers should not fight a rip current. If they get caught in one, they advise to swim parallel to the shoreline out of the current before swimming back to the shore. And while if you are headed to the beach today, that is always some good advice. Bob says there is a moderate risk for rip currents today, plus that intense humidity.
Yeah, just things to keep in mind, Bob, if you're looking to cool off by the ocean.
Absolutely, and you saw that rip current sign. It's that water that you see going out out to sea. That's where the rip is. And if you get stuck in that, you want to swim parallel to the beach. Don't try to swim straight in. Swim parallel to the beach. And we do have a moderate rip current threat today for Fenwick Island and Ocean City. It's going to be a hot one, upper 80s in Ocean City and lower 90s in Fenwick Island. And then keep an eye to the sky for this evening for the potential of strong storms. Lewis and Rehoboth, a hot one today with lower 90s. So have the water and sunscreen on the ferry ride up to Cape May. Waves around 1 to 2 feet. And then on the bay side, a hot day. Cambridge, we're looking at lower 90s. You could see storms as soon as 5 p.m. there. And then Crisfield, very hot too with lower 90s and storms this evening. Maybe damaging winds and very heavy rain with those storms this evening, and more of the soupy summer weather to come the next several days. More in your forecast coming up in the next half hour.
And after the break on Coast TV News today, ceasefire looms over international leaders. We'll tell you what the future could hold for the fighting between Israel and Iran after a meeting at the White House.
Also, wild weekend on the coast, how Ocean City town officials are responding after they say large crowds caused some chaos.
And flood fuels acts of heroism. We'll show you the crews risking their safety to continue to help others as the aftermath of damage from the Texas flood continues. Coast TV News today. We'll be right back.
Now on Coast TV News.
Hope amid rubble. After 100 people lost their lives in the Texas flood, the effort to find survivors continues.
Crowds cause chaos where Ocean City officials are laying the blame for what they are calling disruptive behavior over the weekend.
Revamping water rules. What is likely getting addressed in Ocean View when it comes to fees in private wells?
The summer sizzle is back today. Temperatures soaring into the mid-90s and triple-digit heat indices. Then a chance of strong to possibly severe storms this evening. I'll have impacts of both coming up next.
This is Coast TV News Today.
July 8th, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning. I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us.
It's 5:30 a.m. and there was a moment on Monday when there was just a big-time drenching. You mentioned you got caught in that. Boy, that was some afternoon storm.
I felt a couple raindrops, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep going. It cooled down a little bit, and then all of a sudden, I was drenched. So it came down
and it
quite
probably
quickly.
affected your hair.
Of course it did. I know. These are things you and I have to be careful of. Good thing it was after hours. I wasn't working.
I know. Good thing I was inside.
That is good. Bob, aren't we glad that Matt was protected? His hair was safe.
Yeah. It's all about the hairdo. I'm so glad that I was protected. And you guys are acting surprised that it rained yesterday. That was Chantal that came through with the tropical-like rains. Chantal is now gone. Now it's just warm and muggy in the wake of that system. It's upper 70s to around 80 in Lewis right now, 82 in Ocean City, 78 in Georgetown, 78 in Millsboro. And once again, you can cut the air with a knife out there with dew point temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Just about as humid as it can get. It feels like temperatures in some cases in the mid-80s at the beaches. We do have a heat advisory today. Sussex County, excluding the beaches, you're going to be hot there too. Feeling like 90s, but feeling like triple digits inland into Maryland and also the Eastern Shore. You have this heat advisory through this evening. Not going to have much wind today coming in out of the south and west as we're looking at quiet conditions now, mostly clear. Lots of storms offshore and also a front to our north and west. This will be sagging to the south and east and bumping into all this hot and humid air and kicking off some storms, I think, as we go into the evening hours. Futurecast this morning, upper 70s and then 80s, a quick rise in temperatures. Make sure you have plenty of water on hand today and really be careful out there. Try to stay in AC as much as possible. By noon, lower 90s and then low to mid 90s by 4 p.m., even 94 in Lewis and into the 80s at the beaches. Maybe a little bit of a sea breeze there. Then this evening, we are watching for showers and storms, heavy rain, and maybe damaging winds, I think, after about 7 p.m. Here's your drivecast for today. I gave it the green light this morning with warm and muggy conditions, and then heading home, really be careful this afternoon. That car is going to be hot, maybe as much as 135 degrees. So make sure you're careful in the hot car, and then watch for the storms as we go into the evening hours.
All right, thank you, Bob. Our top story this half hour, the search for dozens of missing people in Central Texas continues after devastating flash floods. Governor Greg Abbott says more than 20 agencies are responding.
Yeah, death toll's increasing, but so are the stories of heroic rescues. Amy Kiley shows us some of the many people who helped save lives.
I've lost 2 friends. We left them. And they're gone.
More than 100 people are dead after catastrophic floods in central Texas. But that number would be higher without heroic rescuers. One is a father who died saving his daughter.
Joel held on to him and prayed over his family and did his very best to hang on as long as he could.
The owner of this devastated RV park recalls banging on doors and helping residents through the water. She says her husband nearly died in the river.
My husband kept yelling at him, throw your baby at me. And at that point, a big wave came by and they both got swept away.
Some survivors from camps along the river praise their counselors for thinking quickly.
They moved the boys from their lower bunks to then the upper bunk, and then ultimately hoisted them up into the rafters.
Camp Mystic is where more than 24 children and counselors died. One Coast Guard swimmer says he gave up his spot in a helicopter to fit more children on board.
It's fresh like spring.
Now he's credited with helping save 165 children rescued from the camp.
I've never seen anything this tragic in my life.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
And that Coast Guard swimmer is in his new role. He says Camp Mystic was his first mission ever.
The scare in downtown Salisbury Monday afternoon ended safely after local fire crews and the Maryland State Fire Marshal's bomb squad investigated a suspicious item. Officials say this was around 12:13 p.m. Firefighters tackling a brush fire near the 200 block of East Market Street spotted what they say looked like a PVC pipe bomb. And after examination, crews determined the item was non-hazardous and posed no threat. Explosive detection canines also searched the area, and the scene was cleared by about 2:40 p.m. Officials say no one was hurt.
New this morning, we are getting responses from Ocean City officials after what they say were several events resulting in chaos over the weekend. According to a statement, social media pop-up gatherings brought large crowds of young adults and teenagers, leading to disruptive behavior. Throughout the weekend, Ocean City operated at full staffing with help from local agencies like the Worcester County Sheriff's Office and Maryland State Police, and say despite the challenges, crews helped keep one of the busiest weekends safe and clean.
In Millsboro last night, by the narrowest of margins, the town council voted 4-3 against an ordinance that would have added a hotel tax. Millsboro Mayor Rob McKee says the town will consider adding a hotel tax again in the future.
Happening tonight, Seaford Town Council is close to moving forward on a new policy dealing with delinquent electric bills. At the City Council meeting, officials are expected to present an ordinance they say would change electric notification and service termination rules. This is a second reading of the ordinance. The council will meet tonight at 7 o'clock.
Also happening today in Ocean View, the town council will bring up 2 ordinances at a public hearing. First, there is a second reading on a measure that would set guidelines in a permitting process for what they call First Amendment assemblies in town parks and on town-owned property. Also, there's a first reading of a proposed ordinance that would amend town code, possibly updating the town's water system rules, including fees and charges, and address private wells within town limits. It's all taking place at the town council meeting today at 3 p.m.
We are now getting a live look at the White House. It was there that President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met Monday evening. Conversations focused on a ceasefire between Israel and Iran into a permanent peace and a window to end the 21 months of devastating fighting in Gaza. Despite Hamas wanting a full end to the war in exchange for the remaining hostages, while Israel still seeks to eliminate Hamas. However, the president projecting optimism.
Hope it's over. Yeah, I think Iran wants to meet. I think they want to make peace. I don't think there's a holdup. I think things are going along very well.
President Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister met over dinner Monday evening, and officials say negotiations will continue.
And we have a lot more news to get to. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up, Seaford Civilian Academy will tell you what to expect from a hands-on experience with officers.
Also, Maryland-Delaware matchup, the interstate battle, and summer high school league soccer.
And returning Rogue Kayak, we have details on where officials say it was found in hopes of getting it back to its owner. Stay with us on Coast TV News Today.
Just about 5:40 on this very muggy morning. 81 in Ocean City right now, dew point 75. So we're getting ready for another hot day. Temperatures out the door, mid to upper 70s right now, even 80 in Lewis, 80 in Bethany Beach, 78 in Dagsboro, and dew point temperatures, whew, it's that air you can wear. You can cut it with a knife. It already feels like mid 80s in a lot of places as we're looking at mostly clear skies. Quiet conditions this morning, storms to the east and a front to the west could trigger severe weather as we go into this evening. And usually the ferry ride up to Cape May is refreshing. Not today. We're going to be seeing 80s this morning and then lower 90s this afternoon, and really not a lot of wind to cool you off, and then perhaps some storms as we go into the evening hours. Call the Coast TV First Alert weather phone for your latest forecast. Your forecast is just a call away. Sponsored by Brockstead Mandalis Federico.
New this morning, the beginning of the school year will be here before you know it, and Woodbridge High School is offering free sports physicals. The evaluations are taking place at the Bay Health Woodbridge High School Wellness Center. Only students enrolled at Woodbridge Middle and High School can make an appointment. The physicals are being offered on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025.
In Salisbury, parts of Glen Avenue is closing this month as the Department of Waterworks makes improvements to the lift station. According to officials, construction began Monday, and the city says this will last until Friday, July 18th. The road is open to local traffic only during this time.
Take a look at your screen, and is this anyone's kayak? Denmark police say they found it floating in the Indian River Bay about a quarter of a mile south of Macy's Landing. You can see it right here on your screen. If it's yours or you know someone whose it is, you can contact Denmark police.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
In the summertime, the season is typically dominated by baseball, and even here on DSN, we add a lot of basketball to that calendar, but we got some variety last night. Over in Fruitland, we had boys soccer at Crown Sports Center. The Parkside Rams in green taking on the Laurel Bulldogs in red for this one. The Rams already up 1-0 when Will Duncan dribbles around his defender and then chips over the Laurel keeper for Parkside's second goal of the night. It's 2-0. Later on, it's now 2-1. When Smith gives it up and gets it back, he cuts right and slots the ball into the back of the net with that right-footed rocket. Parkside in front, 3-1. On to the second half. Parkside up 4-1 and Smith adds on. How about this beauty? Great touch makes it a 5-1 game. Then Logan McIntyre gets in on the action, showing off a flurry of moves before blasting this one home. Parkside in full control. Byron Watson put the finishing touches on this game for the Rams. Parkside wins it 7-1 over Laurel. And make sure to download the DSN app and subscribe to DSN Plus so you don't miss any of our summer sports coverage. That'll do it for sports. Have a great day, everyone.
And coming up today on DSN at 4:30, we have live boys basketball with the Queen Anne's County High School League. Then at 10:30, it's the final score on DSN Plus. Along with that boys basketball game we just mentioned, here's what you can watch on the app. It's all at 6 p.m. We've got high school field hockey at DE Turf and high school boys basketball at the Crown Sports Center.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Well, the Postal Service knows. David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
If you're a SpongeBob SquarePants fan and movies, TV shows, and the occasional parade are not enough, the U.S. Post Office hears you. SpongeBob and the Bikini Bottom Gang appear on 4 new Forever stamps, which are to be officially unveiled August 1st in New York.
I was like, oh, word, okay.
Michael B. Jordan is teaming up with a Black Panther co-star for his reimagining of the Thomas Crown Affair. The Hollywood Reporter says Denai Gurira, also known for The Walking Dead, is joining the romantic heist thriller, which Jordan is also directing and producing. Oscar winner Kenneth Branagh and Oscar nominee Lily Gladstone are also on board.
The numbers all go to 11. Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder? Well, it's one louder.
This is Spinal Tap had fans rocking over the weekend. The mockumentary's 41st anniversary re-release grossed more than $1 million with limited showtimes, prompting distributors to add more play dates July 8th, 9th, and 10th. A sequel, Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues, is due out September 12th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
If you're having a rough week, you can cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV with personal features, fun things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up right now for free at coasttv.com and get your weekly dose of joy directly to your inbox on Friday.
A beautiful sunrise right now in Salisbury, 79. It is steamy out there. The summer sizzle is back in a big way today. Highs in the mid-90s, triple-digit heat indices. So drink a lot of water, stay safe out there. Plus a chance of severe weather this evening. I'll talk about the impacts of both coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
The time is now 5:47 and we are taking a live look at Ocean City this morning. And Bob, today is not the best day to go to the beach or be by the water. We have some storms. We had some yesterday afternoon. They came down quickly.
They did, Lisa, and I think really much of the day for beachgoers, it should be okay. I think those storms probably start moving in this evening, and we do have the chance of some flooding with some of these storms as they come in, as the ground is saturated in a lot of places from the remnants of Chantal yesterday. Now, as we go into this evening, widely scattered to scattered showers and storms, and then that chance goes up, I think, Wednesday through Friday, maybe widespread. I think these are mainly afternoon and evening showers and storms. And then that threat continues into the weekend as well. Then we have the heat. That's the other side of the coin as we're looking at a heat advisory. Sussex County, Millsboro, Selbyville, up to Andrewsville, Delmarva as we go into the afternoon hours. That excludes the coast. It's going to be hot there with mid-90s feels like temperatures, but inland it's going to be hot. Salisbury, Colburn, back through Pittsville. You have a heat advisory until 8 p.m. this evening, and then also a heat advisory until 8 p.m. for the Eastern Shore. It's going to be a scorcher out there. I think this afternoon we're feeling like 101 to about 105 away from the coast, but even right along the immediate coast you're feeling like mid to upper 90s, so really no escaping the heat today. And then tomorrow maybe not as hot, but still 90s and lower triple digits. Now currently we're looking at mostly clear skies across Delmarva. All is quiet. We have a system that's moving out to sea, Chantal, and then farther to the west we have a front across the Ohio Valley up into western New York, and that will sag to the south and east, and that will start to trigger showers and storms, then eventually stall over us, keeping that threat for storms going pretty much all week long. As Futurecast has us in the 70s and 80s, maybe a few clouds this morning, but that's not going to prevent us from getting hot with 80s and low 90s around the noon hour, mid-afternoon. Low to mid 90s away from the coast, even Lewis 94. We're looking at low to mid 80s from Fenwick Island to Dewey Beach. Then we go into this evening. Here's 8 p.m. and we start to see showers and storms. If you see the skies darken, make sure you find shelter because I think we could be looking at some very heavy rain as we go into this evening. Millsboro, farther to the south and west into Salisbury, very heavy rain. Remember, this is a tropical air mass, so we could see some quick flooding out of the system as it moves through. Then it ends very late tonight, and then we're just back into the very muggy conditions as we go into Wednesday morning. Maybe a stray shower then. Wednesday afternoon, I should say, not as hot, upper 80s and lower 90s, but still that chance of some scattered showers and storms. Once again, the main threat would be some very heavy rain. Slight chance of severe weather, Salisbury up towards Lewis, Seaford, Dover, Eastern Shore, damaging winds, maybe some flooding. That goes for everybody pretty much, but then a lower chance of severe weather from Berlin to Ocean View. As we have a stalled out boundary over the top of us, basically Wednesday through Friday, on and off showers and storms continue, and some localized flash flooding is still possible. And we look at the future rain, and some places could get a lot of rain. Too much rain may be causing flooding. You see over 4 inches in Salisbury, possible the next couple of days, and other places about 2 to 3 inches. So really be vigilant out there. You've heard the saying, turn around, don't drown. Very humid to miserable as far as the dew points and the humidity levels and the comfort levels. So not too comfortable the next few days. Paul Davis 7-day forecast, 95 today. Evening storms could be strong to severe. And then that ever-present chance of mainly afternoon and evening storms Wednesday right through the weekend into early next week. The main threat, heavy rain, and temperatures pretty much where they should be in the mid to upper 80s. That continues into the weekend and early next week as well.
Thank you, Bob. New this morning, the Seaford Police Department has announced its 2025 Civilian Police Academy open to adults 18 and older. Classes run Wednesday nights from August 27th through October 1st from 6 to 9 p.m. Participants will go on ride-alongs, take part in patrol scenarios, and even try out virtual training. all with no fitness requirement. Applications are due August 4th.
Also, the Bridgeville Police Department's preparing to host its back-to-school bash. The department says the free event will include inflatables, a water slide, ice cream, and more. It will give every student who attends a free backpack, and this takes place August 7th from 2 to 6 p.m. at the police station.
The time is now 5:52, and we are going to check in with our Coastal Pet of the Day.
And this hour, today's Coastal Pet of the Day is a pup who loves her ball. On your screen, that is Maradona. She loves that ball that she has in her mouth, and we're told that she takes it everywhere she goes, even on walks with her brother Messi. I'm sensing a soccer theme here.
Oh.
Maradona and her ball was submitted to us by Sue and Chuck in Millsboro.
And we want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. Send us photos and tell us what makes them so special. You can take a look at your screen.
That's where that QR code is. Scan that, get your friends to us, and then watch weekdays from 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
A federal judge on Monday temporarily blocked the Trump administration from forcing a ban that would impact Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood sued the Trump administration over a provision in the new tax and spending law that defunds its health care services. The law will prohibit Medicaid users from coverage with a health care provider that also offers abortion services. The clinics offer a range of health care services, including birth control and cancer screenings.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has ended its emergency response to H5N1 bird flu. The agency cited a drop in cases, adding no human infections have been reported since February. The emergency response was declared April 4th, 2024, to allow for additional support like increased staffing.
And the time is now 5:56, and we're going to take another look at our very muggy forecast.
Oh yeah, we're already feeling that humidity, Bob.
Oof, boy, yeah, it's that steam bath out there this morning. Big time, and it's going to be a scorcher out there today. Stay hydrated with water. Find a nice cool place as we're quickly warming through the 80s into the mid 90s this afternoon. Not a lot of wind to cool us off, and a lot of humidity by this afternoon, feeling like 102 to about 105 inland areas, and even at the coast feeling like mid to upper 90s. Paul Davis 10-day forecast heads up this evening for showers and storms, some with very heavy rain and maybe some damaging winds, and then we keep that shower and storm threat going the rest of the week into the weekend, and temperatures hovering between about 86, 87 degrees, and that continues into early next week. Still a chance of showers and storms. The main threat will be heavy rain into the afternoon and evening hours, and then by midweek next week, guess what? More of the same. Gosh, you'd think we'd be in the middle of summer. Upper 80s Wednesday and Thursday, right around 89 degrees both days, and mainly afternoon and evening storms.
All right, thanks, Bob. And coming up in our next hour, tackling teen disruption, the assessment by Ocean City officials, and dealing with some chaotic scenes over the holiday weekend. That and more when we continue with Coast TV News Today.